So moving on to our next session, it's a session presented by Huawei with the title Shaping Digitalization, Data Ecosystems as Basis for Transformation and Sustainability, with our speakers Ingobert Veith, VP Public Policy at Huawei, and Dr. Stephan Ramesohl, co-head of the Digital Transformation Research Unit at the Wuppertal Institut for Climate, Environment and Energy. The stage is yours. Thank you.
Hello everybody, thank you very much for this kind introduction. I'm Ingo from Huawei, and I want to speak with you today about digitalization and sustainability. Digitalization is the shaping force of the 21st century, and we need to put it at service for sustainability, which is the most urgent task we are having in the 21st century. Last year, Bitkom conducted a study which showed that digitalization can help to meet, for example, our climate targets in Germany by 2030. Half of what we need to do in order to meet our climate targets could be provided by the implementation of digitalization. However, the decisive factor for this would be the speed of the digital transformation. And it is a digital transformation what we need. And a digital transformation means it needs to be comprehensive. This transformation will touch our personal lives, the way we do business, the way we move from A to B, and the way we generate, consume, and distribute power. For all of this, as a basic and fundamental precondition, we need a sound digital infrastructure. This is the domain where we are coming from as Huawei. We are a global leader in providing digital infrastructure. And we are very committed and already engaged and busy in order to play our part to make the energy transition in Germany, in Europe happen. However, in order to successfully engage in this path, we also need to talk about the carbon footprint of the digital infrastructure itself. That needs to be significantly reduced and improved, and we are pretty confident that this is possible by combining it with renewable energies, but also by implementing a holistic approach in order to make it better. But how to shape these comprehensive approaches we need? What is the actual context, and most importantly, what to do and where to start? This is what we tried to figure out over the last months, and we realized this is too big, too complex for us, and this is why we needed help from true experts. And this is why we approached the Wuppertal Institut for Climate, Environment and Energy in order to help out and to come up here with a bunch of studies as a starting point in order to make it more tangible and in order to have a basis for the big transformation we are in front of. Therefore, I'm very glad to have Stephan from the Wuppertal Institut here with me in order to share with you key findings of the Common Study project and in order to discuss some major conclusions with you guys here, what it means for the transformation we need to tackle. Stephan, please.
Thanks, Ingo. Great being here, and no doubt, digital technologies give us powerful solutions at hand to boost efficiency, to improve the way to organize our energy systems, mobility, working, etc., and so on. And this is only a first step. Improving existing systems will not be sufficient to meet the challenges of the aggregating global ecological crisis, climate change, resource depletion, and loss of biodiversity. It's time to enter the next level, to do the next steps, and to be crystal clear. net zero carbon in 2050 is a different world. Net zero is a different world. This means we have to undergo a fundamental transformation. That means that we have to fundamentally change the way how we organize our work, life, economies, cities, our energy systems. And here, digital technologies, digital solutions can be of a help, but it's a different technology or put into different contexts. That's the starting point of the study, and that's already even the key message. And of course, we cannot deliver full-blown, ready-to-use solutions, but it's time to kickstart the debate, and we want to contribute to this. A quick glance on the results, 2 examples, 3 key findings. First example, mobility. Mobility matters. 20% of national greenhouse gas emissions, almost no progress since 1990. Passenger cars in focus, 60% of the sector emissions. E-mobility is not the solution alone. We have to organize eco-mobility in the sense of the German Umweltverbund as the interplay between walking, cycling, public transport, mobility as a service, and all these kind of things. So the transformational challenge is to organize a functional equivalent and at the same time attractive alternative to private car use. And this sounds easy because that's very obvious that we need an ongoing seamless door-to-door journey which can only be realized by digital technologies, by putting together all the booking information, all the travel information, delays, etc., etc., etc. It's so obvious, and we are still on a long, long way to go. Since autumn last year, we have the mobile data ordinance here in Germany, requesting putting all this information from the mobility providers into a national platform, and this Mobilitätsdatenmarktplatz kicked off now should be turned into real mobility data space. More of this, faster, and sanctions for non-compliance and data provision. So this is the digital solution for a real transformation in the mobility system. And at the same time, it's obvious that policy has to deliver the hardware to the software, meaning all the investments into infrastructures, into public transport, and especially mobility as a service as a complement to this. And here again, we have to think about reboot our pretty woolly system of public transport financing and organization from the municipals, regional, federal, countries, layers, because this again is an obstacle to shifting to a fundamental alternative. Digital solutions are at hand if we enter a transformation path in transport policy. Second example, circular economy, which was a topic of tomorrow again. 50% of the industry's greenhouse gas emissions reductions will result from resource efficiency and dematerialization. The recent pandemics, the Ukraine war, we see the stress on global supply chains. Provision of raw materials is more and more tied to global tensions, geopolitical tensions, and customers and financial markets are more and more questioning the supply chain, and customer-facing OEMs can no longer hide between their suppliers with regard to environmental and social impacts of this supply chain. So the big transformation step which is at hand is the entering of a sustainable, environmental, benign circular economy. And this is not better recycling. A circular economy, in the end, is a paradigm shift in economic value creation, satisfying customer needs with less resource use, with less materials. By repair, by remanufacturing, by servicization, by pay-per-use, the idea is very simple. Create value without materials. And by this, a circular economy will depend on system solutions, meaning this goes beyond a single actor. And that's why everyone in a circular economy needs access to information. Information on the upstream manufacturing path and on the downstream impacts of my own economic behavior. We have to connect the material flows with their data flows. And this was topic in the morning again. There is no circular economy without data. The circular economy has to be understood as a data economy. And again, it needs to be framed by policy guidelines which are providing the markets. Mandatory quota for the input of secondary material, the right to repair, strengthening customers, eco-design directives, all this which is framing and shaping the markets. And a short side note, decarbonization and dematerialization, the circular economy, affects each and every sector, the IT sector as well. And decarbonizing digital infrastructures by shifting to renewable energy is essential, but that's the easy part. The increasing use of resources for growing hardware stocks and the tsunami of electronic waste is the real elephant in the room. And here we are facing that dilemma of growth and innovation speed on the one hand and the need for longevity on the other hand, and that's the call for fundamental innovation in technology terms, in business model terms. And that's where the ICT sector has to take its responsibility. First conclusions, 3 takeaways. The transformation depicted in these 2 examples very roughly are system solutions. System solutions where actors and stakeholders across sectors along the whole value chain create a new level of acting together. Second, the full power of digital solutions can only be unleashed if we have new approaches to collaborative data use, data sharing, because these actors have to act together. We have a quite heated debate on the use of personal data, I think for good reasons. But we need to talk more about environmental data, data from infrastructure, from hardware, from machines, from equipment, from cars, from vehicles, from the hardware stuff, which is our physical world. And third, future competitiveness, be it of companies, of sectors, of economy, will more and more depend on the ability to organize and master information flows across boundaries within value networks. So what we need now, therefore, is a targeted approach. You see, from politics, providing the framework, and then from corporate actors to do the business models and the technology solutions. This in a nutshell.
Thank you very much, Stephan, for your enthusiastic but also, I think, compelling presentation. But maybe in order to bring this discussion a little bit further, so if I think about what you said, I heard collaborative data sharing, for example, is key. Makes sense, you know, to somehow, for example, the circular economy, to combine the materials and the consumers, the producers, and so on. It's clear, but what's the actual implementation gap we are having today? What needs to be done in order to reach this?
The first one is a very simple, basic one, and so known to you. It's about data. It's about the ability to create, to link, to digest, to store, to work with data. Data literacy is key. And you all know data is at no value until it's turned into action, so until you do something with it. And here, many, many players in the industry, small and medium enterprises, and public institutions are in the very early stages of this process. The second thing is we have to build these ecosystems. So the data architectures, the infrastructures where we can share, join, store data, which organized access, governance, all this. And many of you know there's a lot of initiatives going on. Gaia X, the international data space, Catena X just officially now launched yesterday or the day before yesterday. All this now has to be pushed, elaborated, and leveraged for sustainability. And to be very clear, I think there is no technology obstacle. This is about organization, about governance, about organizing the interfaces to agree on ontologies, semantics, and all the stuff. Again, you know that better. It's not the technology piece. But I think since we neither want a universe of myriads of fragmented solutions, nor the dominance of a single monopolist, I think there's no point, no alternative to joint action. And that's what we see, and I think that's what we have to elaborate and continue to work on. Industry-driven, key player-led, policy-framed, and funded in the beginning.
Okay, again, sounds good, but I would say, coming from the corporate world, where to start, and what's the role, say, of policymakers and regulators, and maybe what should not be done in order to make this happen?
First, I mentioned this, politics has to set the frame in order to create markets. We are now, after some 3 decades of struggling, in a phase where we can create a climate change abatement economy. We have clear guidelines, etc., etc. And that's something which we have to expand. More focus on Scope 3 emissions. We have to create the framework. And here, the new government in Germany, the Ampel coalition, has announced a national circular economy strategy, nationale Kreislaufwirtschaftsstrategie. And this has to be understood as a real market-shaping industrial transformation strategy by creating markets for circular economy. This is number one. This is the task of politics. Second, no data ecosystem without a purpose. Meaning we have all these initiatives and we need more of those green initiatives that are directed towards a sustainability target. This runs under the headline of mission-oriented innovation. So politics and society have to define a mission and then let's embark with the innovation. Meaning more of those Gaia X, Catena X elements. We have the battery passport project, which was launched by the BMWK. These projects are very important because they create the cornerstones of a digital world.
Okay, that sounds like a good start, but
I think the point is, maybe just to add one point, we need open data strategies, so open up public and private data for the use. And again, an example, the Federal Environmental Agency is in the way of launching a portal, Umwelt.info, which is a step into a real environmental data space. And at the same time, they're investing into an AI lab to have the in-house capabilities to work with that data. And this comes not for free. Sustainability, leveraging the digital transformation for sustainability comes at a cost. We have to invest. And this can be neither delegated nor outsourced. Each and every player has to invest into this. And as I said, the net zero carbon world is a different world and will affect everyone. And this is now my question to you. Where do you see your role of the sector and the company and the responsibility?
I think it's a difficult question, and we are really working hard in order to figure this out. For starters, we are focusing on our products as a leverage in the society and the business domain. So, for example, we as Huawei committed ourselves to make all of our products at 270% more energy efficient by 2025 compared to 2019. But this is just what we as a company in a narrow focus do. The second part is we are an innovator, we believe in innovation, so we really spend a lot of effort and money and human resources in R&D. Half of Huawei's employees are in R&D, and more than $20 billion we just put this year in R&D, and we believe we can make here a contribution in technological innovation in order to meet these requirements. But most importantly will be to form an alliance of the business sector, of the civil sector, of the political sector, and of course of the scientific sector in order, in a collaborative way, to work on this and to figure out new solutions and to really start. And I would say, last but not least, taking what you said, this fundamental transformation will of course also affect us as corporate organization. So we need to reflect what does it mean for us, for our future business. And there need to be changes. So for example, I could imagine it will touch the domain of the ownership of our products. we may lease in the future our products to our customers in order to keep them longer in the life cycle. But this is not figured out yet, and we are really keen to find a good path here. And I would like to thank you, your institute, for providing a scientific foundation to take this discussion at the next level. And I hope we could enrich your thinking a little bit today, as you are true digital transformation experts. I hope you had a few takeaways. Once again, thank you very much, Stephan. And if you have comments, questions about the study, about our project, please feel free to contact us. We are very happy to talk to you. Thank you very much.